You're watching CBS News Los Angeles, The Rundown.
Hello, everyone. I'm Ross Palumbo, and here's a look at your top stories at this hour. A burglary investigation takes a bizarre turn in Glendale. Police have now arrested a group of people. They also found hidden cameras in their car when they made those arrests. Our Joy Benedict is looking at how this incident may be linked to similar ones in the Inland Empire.
So it's another hidden camera story, this time in the city of Glendale, and this time police arrested someone. It was here on this cul-de-sac on Monday night when investigators say they pulled over a vehicle that didn't have its lights on for a possible traffic violation. But when they went inside the car, that's when they found one of those hidden cameras. Some sort of a camera with leaves taped to it, a big battery pack, and the ability to transmit that signal to other places. They then came back to this cul-de-sac here in Glendale where they say they found some dug-up area where they think that camera was inside a planter doing just that, casing the neighborhood. It's certainly a very frightening situation to folks who live here in this community, a community that has seen burglaries very recently. And investigators with the Glendale Police Department tell me that's in fact why they had an officer out here trying to catch someone possibly burglarizing the area and to just show a stronger presence. And of course, that's when they were able to make that arrest. But this isn't the first hidden camera situation that we've seen just in the last few weeks. We've told you about hidden cameras being found in Chino Hills, in Temecula, making community members very upset because they're not sure exactly why they're being placed there. Well, the Glendale Police Department thinks this is all part of a bigger scheme. They're calling it burglary tourism because of these 4 individuals that they did in fact arrest on Monday night. They say all 4 of them came from Colombia on tourist visas into the United States, and they think just for the intent of simply burglarizing these homes, getting what they can, and then going back to Colombia at some point. And interestingly, one of these 4 individuals that was arrested on Monday was actually arrested just a few weeks ago for doing the exact same thing. He bailed out and he was back on the streets, not missing a beat, in what police are saying attempting to burglarize the community once again. So they are hoping that this time the charges and everything stick, that they can go ahead and they can keep these individuals in custody. And that's of course what this community wants as well. But are these burglars going to end up being connected to Chino Hills, to Temecula, to other places that we've seen those hidden cameras? Well, that still remains to be seen, but it is something that all of these different law enforcement jurisdictions are getting together. They're discussing it now, and they're trying to figure it out in hopes that no one else becomes a victim.
All right, thanks a lot, Joy. UCLA this afternoon says it's reassigned its police chief, John Adams, after violence broke out at a pro-Palestinian encampment protest. Critics say police were slow to respond to an attack by counter-protesters on the encampment. UCLA says it's investigating that incident. Meanwhile, UCLA's chancellor, Gene Block, is set to testify on Capitol Hill tomorrow. He's going to be asked about the school's response to anti-Semitism on campus and that violent protest with the pro-Palestinian encampment. Well, Block is set to retire in July. He just, by the way, survived a no-confidence vote last week from the university's academic senate. Developing right now, a federal judge in downtown L.A. has agreed to delay Hunter Biden's trial on tax charges until September. The trial was scheduled for next month. The president's son faces 9 federal tax charges for allegedly refusing to pay his taxes. Those back taxes have since been paid. Hunter Biden is also scheduled to stand trial next month on federal tax charges in a separate case in Delaware. He pleaded not guilty in both cases. Well, now to Texas, where families of 19 of those school shooting victims in Uvalde have reached a deal with the city nearly 2 years after that deadly massacre. They also filed more lawsuits. Reporter Ken Molestina has all the details.
Justice and accountability has always been my main concern.
Families of most of the victims of the Uvalde school shooting gathered with their attorney Wednesday to announce a deal. It gives them the tiny city of Uvalde's entire insurance policy, totaling only $2 million, and the promise of higher standards and better training for police.
The last thing they would want to do was to inflict any financial hardship on their friends and neighbors in this community. Their friends and neighbors didn't let them down.
Attorney Josh Koskoff saved that blame for other targets, announcing immediate lawsuits against nearly 100 Texas state police officers involved in the botched response, along with several former school officials. It's 2 years ago this Friday that 19 students and 2 teachers were killed in the attack on Robb Elementary School. Hundreds of local, state, and federal officers responded, but waited more than 70 minutes to confront the shooter.
376 to 1. On paper, it should have been no contest.
There's also an agreement with the city for an annual day of remembrance on May 24th. Additionally, they'll fund a permanent memorial in the city's plaza. While these families are seeking to keep the peace in their town, their attorney hinted at future lawsuits against so-called enablers of the massacre.
And until those making money off of this start to clean up their act, the best we're going to ever do is a perfectly performed law enforcement response.
Koskoff previously helped families of the Sandy Hook school shooting in Connecticut reach a $73 million settlement with gunmaker Remington. Ken Molestina, CBS News, Uvalde, Texas.
Well, look at this monster in Iowa. Deadly tornadoes touching down yesterday, leaving a wide path of destruction. One of the hardest hit areas was the city of Greenfield, where officials still don't know exactly how many people have died. KCAL's Roxana Sabiri has more now from Greenfield.
What a monster! What the? Wow!
Massive tornadoes like this one barreled across Iowa, leaving Greenfield, a city of around 2,000 residents, devastated.
Before I went down the basement, I went all around my house and I prayed. I prayed for God to keep us safe.
Drone video over the city southwest of Des Moines captured what remained. Homes shredded to pieces, vehicles tossed onto lawns, mountains of debris, and trees ripped to their roots.
I know that, some of my friends were hurt and I couldn't get hold of them. I was scared.
Iowa State Patrol has confirmed at least a dozen people were injured, and there were multiple deaths in the storm.
The Greenfield community has shown incredible unity during this challenging time. The Greenfield community has a long road ahead of them.
The damage here comes less than a month after the state was hit hard by tornadoes. In Adams County yesterday, storm chasers drove through flying debris from another twister. They then looked for survivors at this now leveled home.
There's somebody here? Are you in shelter?
That same tornado snapped wind turbines and set them on fire. Before the extreme weather reached Iowa, neighboring Nebraska was slammed with torrential downpours, hail, and powerful winds. Widespread flooding swamped the Omaha area after up to 6 inches of rain fell, stranding cars and pushing them off the road. Tracy Dunn said there was so much flooding in her apartment that at one point she had to stand on top of her bed.
I don't have nothing. I've lost everything. I got everything.
Back in Greenfield, the city has already begun cleaning up.
We will rebuild this community together. One thing about Greenfield is we're small, but we're mighty.
The cleanup here is just getting started. Iowa's governor is expected to survey the damage here today. And across the country, we still have more severe weather in the forecast. Later today, hail and potentially damaging winds are expected to hit parts of Texas and Arkansas. Roxana Saberi, CBS News, Greenfield, Iowa.
Taking a live look outside right now, it sort of puts all our May gray into perspective. This is all we're dealing with here, and it's nothing in comparison, of course. What's ahead for the Memorial Day weekend? Meteorologist Alex Bisson has all the details on our next weather forecast. Hey, Alex, how's it look?
Hi, Ross. Yes, I know we're all kind of looking forward to the weekend and, of course, Memorial Day. And we will have a look at your forecast as we head through this weekend. That's going to come up in just a second. You know, I think we're all really going to miss the May gray once we get into the thick of summer and it is blazing hot outside. So I know we've been on a little bit of a rinse and repeat, but just enjoy what we have for now. Still hanging on to some clouds across the Ventura County coastline. Sunshine across Oxnard, moving into Santa Paula, Ojai too, Fillmore, seeing that May gray stick around all the way into Malibu too. Otherwise, we are seeing a nice clearing. This is a loop of our satellite over the last 3 hours, and we are seeing sunshine from Compton to Rancho Cucamonga, all the way across the Inland Empire, even the Orange County coastline. So we look live over Malibu, and yes, that is the one of these spots that we're still hanging on to the clouds, and we can see that from our live camera here. So once you get above the gray and above the clouds, you are seeing the blue, you are seeing the sunshine. So more afternoon sun, especially for our inland spots. Clouds will fill back in quite quickly as we head into tonight and early tomorrow morning. We are even looking at some areas of drizzle, not just tomorrow morning, but as we head into Friday morning too. We're on the cooler side for now. We do have a warm up headed our way in the extended forecast, which we'll get to in just a second. Once we take a step outside this afternoon, we're feeling temperatures in the 60s and 70s. We've got low 70s in areas like Santa Clarita and San Bernardino. Otherwise, it is toasty in Palm Springs, 96 degrees there in the low desert communities. It is 64 degrees in Big Bear, and we are feeling 80s in the high desert. So here's the futurecast. It is going to show you that, yeah, those clouds will start to move back on in, surge on shore as we head into early Thursday. Here's a snapshot of 7 o'clock in the morning. Some areas of drizzle. Clouds will still be hanging around the LA basin tomorrow around 1:30. Otherwise, we will see more sunshine, very similar to what we're picking up today. And then by Friday morning, picking up even some more areas of drizzle, light rain in Simi Valley, Malibu, Burbank, areas like Pasadena, so some of our foothill communities too. Want to also show you our surf forecast. We do have a moderate risk of rip currents, waves about 2 to 4 feet, water temperature between 56 and 64 degrees, and high tide is at 7:26 this evening. Temperature outlook. So this is over the next 6 to 10 days. You might be wondering, when do the warmer temperatures head our way? Well, we are forecasting the above average chance for warmer temperatures, mainly over the Four Corners region, but of course that does expand into Southern California and much of the West as well. So look forward to that as we move forward into the weekend and of course into next week, more so into next week. So here's a breakdown of the 7-day. We've got temperatures in the low 70s. Tomorrow, upper 60s Friday, Saturday. So temperatures actually will sink as we head into the first half of the weekend. And then temperatures rise to the 80s Monday and Tuesday across the valley. So we are going to warm things up across the Inland Empire. We will go from upper 70s tomorrow to low 70s this weekend, then temperatures into the 80s Memorial Day Monday. And of course, as we head into Tuesday as well, a breakdown of your 7-day across the desert communities, the mountains and the coastline. We will see the clouds stick around the coast over the next few days through the weekend. And then again, temperatures slowly rise to start off next week. Ross?
Alex, did you say we're going to miss this May gray? What?
We may. We may.
I don't know. Maybe we'll see. We want to find out if we miss it. That's the key, right? Thanks so much, Alex. Well, a group of Orange County 8th graders, the students there, have just completed an amazing project. They've built a tiny home. Michelle Geely spoke to the students who did it, all to help a family in need.
I'm Michelle Geely inside of a tiny home on the campus of Nicholas Junior High School. And believe it or not, these 3 8th graders behind me here helped build this tiny home. There is a loft up here that sleeps 2, a bed that pulls out here for another 2, and here is the bedroom. Swinging around, here's the kitchen, and right over here, we have a bathroom. Now, what makes this story ever the more wonderful is the fact that this 8th grade class, Mr. Vidali's 8th grade class, took this project on. They've spent the last several months building this tiny home. And the best part of all, according to these kids, is the fact that this tiny home is going to become the home for a local homeless family, at least temporarily. Now, kids, weigh in for me what this feels like for you.
This feels really good to know that this is going to a homeless family, and especially that I helped build this home.
What part of it did you take part in?
I took part in insulation, building the walls, and part of the floor.
And Anita, how does it feel to know that you're getting someone off the street helping by building this tiny home?
It feels good. I feel like like an accomplishment, I guess.
So proud, right? So very soon it will be decided which family is allowed to live here. Again, this is a project taken on by an 8th grade advanced woodshop class here in Fullerton. Again, Nicholas Junior High. So this is what I'm working on today, and absolutely thrilled to be checking out this beautiful tiny home.
How cool is that, Michelle? Thank you so much. We'll look for a full report tonight on KCAL News at 4. Well, one of the biggest Pride celebrations in our area is kicking off tonight in Southern California. WeHo Pride is back, and here to talk about all the festivities this year is West Hollywood Mayor John Erickson. John, thanks for joining us.
So happy to be here talking about my favorite time in West Hollywood.
I think it's everyone's favorite time. And, you know, I'm so glad that it's kicking off today with such an icon from Northern California, Harvey Milk. What's on tap for today, for Harvey Milk Day?
Well, tonight we have our Harvey Milk Day celebration. If you're in West Hollywood right now and you're wondering why can't I pay my meter, it's because it's free, because it's Harvey Milk Day in West Hollywood. But we're also going to have an amazing show, a drag competition at our beautiful West Hollywood Park. And then it kicks off a whole month-long celebration of art events, events popping up through our local businesses, and of course, WeHo Pride, May 31st, June 1st, and June 2nd.
You know, it's so exciting. It's so many days and so long. How has the event really grown since you started doing it, I think in 22, right?
Yeah, well, we celebrated LA Pride here in the city for a number of years, and then we had WeHo Pride, and we've only gotten bigger and better every year. The city invests in LGBTQ arts and events like WeHo Pride because in a time like now when we're seeing bans and people rising in hatred against the LGBTQ community, we need a little bit more of a rainbow and a lot of love. And so our budget reflects that of a commitment to equality and inclusivity, and it's just such a great time in West Hollywood.
You know, as Harvey Milk famously said all the time, you got to give them hope. And in WeHo, that's exactly what you're doing. You know, you said especially in a time like this, you know, Huntington Beach refuses to fly the Pride flag. Now we've just learned that the city of Downey is doing the same thing. They will not be flying the Pride flag this year. What are your thoughts about that, where we're seeing this sort of resurgence of anti-LGBTQ plus things, not only across the country, but here in Southern California? What are your thoughts about that and how that makes Pride even more important for West Hollywood?
Well, we've got a lot of Pride flags that will be flying here in West Hollywood, and we are loudly and proudly doing that. I can tell you that those cities' actions are not only shameful, but they're despicable. In a time where our communities need to come together and be there for each other, for the most, to spread love and joy for the most of us that need it now more than ever. Any sign of hatred or masked in government bureaucracy is just not right. Let's come together. Let's show our beautiful community what it's all about. And luckily here in West Hollywood, we've been doing that since our inception in 1984.
You know, I'm going to give you a little hope right now. I'm not sure that you heard about this, but LA County Supervisor Janice Hahn is actually going to be in Downey on June 3rd, and they are going to fly the Pride flag above the county buildings in Downey, and I think there are at least 7 of them. So that's at least something happening in that city, right?
I'll be actually there with her. When this event was put together, I was proud to not only know that it was happening, but I'll be joining in solidarity there with her and all the other LGBTQ elected officials here in Southern California. We need to stick together now more than ever, and flying our Pride flag loud and proud is something that they're not only going to do at all the county buildings in Downey, and by the way, I think there are more county buildings in Downey than there are Downey buildings, but I ultimately think that Pride, no matter what's going on, is going to be loud and proud in whatever city you're in LA County this fall.
Let me ask you one more question about that regard. You know, for people who don't go to Pride, what they see is condensed coverage, and they see, you know, the most creative parts of our community, maybe the most outrageous parts, everyone's showing Pride, but Pride is really about more than a parade only. It's more than just coming out and walking a few blocks one time of year. This is really about political strength and community strength, isn't it?
it's so much more than just one weekend or 1 month every year. I'm a small town gay kid from Ripon, Wisconsin, the birthplace of the Republican Party, and they're having their 2nd annual Pride Festival there that was unanimously passed by my local town council. That's progress. But what that says to me is that no matter where you are, having these beacons of hope and showing it out to the rest of the world, that places like West Hollywood or the actions that Supervisor Hahn is going to be doing, they matter. Whether you see it on your phone or on the internet, when you look at that visibility, you see something that says you matter, you are loved, and that there is a place that is going to honor and uplift you. And that's the fight that goes on behind the scenes every single day, and that's one that I'm dedicated and we're dedicated to doing here in West Hollywood every day of the year, because Pride lives here in West Hollywood.
It sure does, and everyone knows that. Now, to get down there and join in the celebration, it's always just a little bit of a challenge, but something that's well worth it, of course. What do you recommend in terms of public transit? You know there have been a string of incidents on Metro buses and trains that have a few people worried. So what is your message to people trying to commute to Pride this year? Should that deter them, or what do you recommend?
Well, safety is of utmost importance during Pride. We invest heavily in our public safety and community safety personnel across the city of West Hollywood, but I know we're working directly with our partners at the LA County Board of Supervisors, at Metro, at the Sheriff's Department, to ensure that when you get here, you're safe, but also getting here, you're safe as well. I always say pack a little bit extra patience when you're coming along. Please take rideshare if you're going to be taking public transportation, which I do a lot to get to and from. You know, make sure that you know if you see something, say something, and that we all are in this together to make sure we're all safe. But I know the actions that our Board of Supervisors is taking to make sure everyone's safe, whether they're coming to Pride or going somewhere else, is being really looked at. And I'm really thankful that we have a great partnership with LA County to continue that work. So when people get to West Hollywood, they're having a great time.
Yeah, and just a reminder to everyone, the LA County Sheriff's substation is right there in West Hollywood. So you really couldn't have a better situation when it comes to security. And I was down there last year. I don't remember any major security incidents. It's been relatively safe since you started, hasn't it?
Well, we always want to make sure everyone knows that we're trying to keep them as safe as possible. That's why security in and out of the Out Loud Music Festival, as well as in the free street festival and community concerts that's happening, you'll see our public safety personnel there making sure that you are safe. And so luckily, knock on wood, you know, we don't have those types of experiences, but that's why we can never take anything for granted. That's why the partnership that we have with all of our local agencies is so critical. And that's why we heavily invest in public safety here for Pride and work with our community partners to know that when they set up a booth or when they're out there having fun or even going along in the parade route, they know that we want to make sure everyone is safe.
And you can do what I do. I always thank our deputies that are down there keeping us safe and making sure that they're part of the celebration as well. Okay, so last but not least, let's talk about Kylie Minogue. This is a very big year for West Hollywood.
I hear she's performing.
I'm sorry?
I heard she's performing, you know.
I think Kylie Minogue might be showing up. How big of a thing is that? That's pretty huge.
We are so happy to have partners at Out Loud Music Festival, as well as our own WeHo Pride Festival. When we started WeHo Pride back in 2022, the Friday night was a free concert that we wanted to give to the community. And that is going to be headlined this year by Kesha, you know, an amazing artist. You might have heard of her. And then the Saturday and Sunday performances are going to have people like Janelle Monáe, Diplo, and then of course the iconic, the legendary Kylie Minogue will be coming right here in West Hollywood Park. And we have a few surprises for the community when she gets here.
I mean, surprises beyond that, that's pretty big.
We like to deliver and we like to have a great time in West Hollywood.
Yeah.
And when you get a chance to celebrate people like Kylie Minogue, and how could I even forget, Cyndi Lauper will be here in the Pride Parade as well.
She is so wonderful. She's such a huge supporter of the community. I've interviewed her and met her several times. She is just a wonderful, wonderful person. What an amazing, amazing year this is going to be. Mayor John Erickson, I'll look for you when I'm down there. Thank you so much for your time and happy Pride.
Happy Pride. I'll look forward to seeing you on the boulevard.
All right. Thanks a lot. And thank you for joining us. This has been The Rundown. We will be back live at 3 o'clock right here on CBS News Los Angeles.